the first time I'm doing that. So
live stream?
Live streaming
Or
through Zoom. Yeah, this
yeah.
is my first practice. First live practice of live streaming.
Nice.
I'm hoping we're live. I see 0 attendees right now. Maybe they'll join in eventually. I'll quickly tweet out the link to the.
Oh, I can do that as well.
Just give me one moment. I want to tweet out the link. Awesome. I think we're ready to start. I know folks will keep joining, so I can say hello to them or hello in the future if you're watching the playback. I am interviewing Yannic Lightspeed Culture. He's called Lightspeed Culture because he makes videos at the speed of light. When papers come out, you can go to his channel, find interesting and quite spicy comments also on papers. If in the first 2 minutes you don't find anything spicy, you know the paper is good. Even if you find some spicy comments, sometimes the explanations are really good. So you should still watch them. He's also co-host of Machine Learning Street Talk. I don't understand a good percentage of those conversations, but it makes me feel smart, at least listening to those. And he's also, I think, the CTO of Deep Judge, which is a startup in Zurich. Yannic, thank you so much for having chai with me today.
Thank you very much. Well, as you're having chai, I'm doing the Swiss thing and having chocolate.
Oh, okay. I should maybe try that tradition. So I want to ask you, how many aviators do you have? Do you have like a full closet of them? I've seen at least 4 different ones in your videos: a blue one, a black one, a really shiny one.
Yeah, I think I have 4, but I only carry these ones. It's actually pretty risky. If I ever lose them, I don't think what I'll do. No more videos.
Yeah, I saw a photo of you with your vision system exposed. People would get worried if they see that. I'm just kidding. So I want to talk about your journey. I usually start by talking about a journey of my heroes. You discovered computer science just by randomness. You picked up medicine, then you discovered computer science. When did you become passionate about programming in general, or is it still something you're working on?
Well, yeah, I think that the computer science, I think I had a technical interest from forever. And programming, it just feels like such a power. Like you can create things. You can create many things with programming, and you need almost no starting capital or anything like this. And for me, having had not really a surrounding as a child of very technical people, just when I discovered there's something I could do by myself that had, I allowed me to create things, I think that caught my attention. But it was only, I think I was, well into, I was about 20 or so when I really started coding. So it's not like I was a child always interested. I just discovered it and never looked back.
Yeah, maybe I'm not sure. Maybe just a robot sent from the future. We'll never know. When did you discover? Why did you sign up for a PhD program? I think you just signed up for a PhD program. After that, what was your expectation going into it? And I know you've spoken about this. There are unrealistic expectations from students as well when they're signing up for PhD programs. So I'd love to hear your take on that.
Well, I didn't really know something like PhD programs existed when I started university. So I had a rough idea that there were people that were called doctor, like that have like a title of doctor, and that was possible also outside of medicine. I did not know anything beyond that, right? So I did my bachelor's, and it kind of dawned on me that there were these people called PhD students. And then during my master's, that was really like, oh, that's a thing one can do, right? That never occurred to me that that was a thing that is just kind of the academic continuation of the master's. And so after a master's, I didn't really know what to do. I didn't really feel like going into industry. So I just played video games for a while, and then I ran out of money, and then I was like, okay, what do I do now? And then I decided, kind of on a whim, to start a PhD program because I liked university. I liked learning new things. I sort of had the idea of liking research, even though I didn't know what it meant. And then I signed up. Yeah, and I'd say for the first year or so of the PhD, I still didn't know what research meant. Like I had no clue what to do, even though, it was not a failure of supervision. It was a failure really of me going out there and seeing, okay, what is it actually that I have to do? Because I thought I just sit down and like invent new things. But the whole process of you have to get papers published, and here is how you do it, right? Here is about the process. Here is how you find a topic, and so on. That I learned that sort of by doing at the PhD. I think people starting today's PhD programs are quite a bit more equipped than I was. So yeah, probably they should give me tips and not I them.
That's a humble take, I think. But in hindsight, now that you're, can we call you Dr. Kilcher yet, or not yet?
It's legal, but yeah, I don't put any particular emphasis on that. But yeah.
Yeah, I loved your video where you had your graduation cap. I'm sure people have seen that, but that was a very interesting reflection. So I'm just curious.
Still here.
Machine learning PhD survival guide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. Any tips for people who are looking to get into PhD now, as you've just come out of the process? Many people have this false expectation also. Like, I figured out really quick that I'm not capable of doing research.
Well, so first of all, to get into a PhD in machine learning right now is quite competitive. And I sort of was lucky in that I applied right before, I would say, like the big hype. 2016, 2017, 2018, and so on. We saw like giant explosions. So I applied. I had a good a master thesis that won a medal, but I don't think it was particularly good. It was like a master thesis that my advisor was happy with, and that was it. I had no publications. I had no research internships. I worked as a software engineer, but I didn't have any kind of big industry experience. So today's PhD students, the profile of people who apply, and I had to interview quite a number of them or evaluate applicants. The profile of these people is just like 10 levels above where I was. So the landscape has become really competitive, I would say, which is not, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, but you just have to be aware if you're looking to get into a PhD, the landscape is competitive. So you have to do something to, I would say, increase your chances. And probably the best thing you can do is just knowing someone, like establish personal connection to like a research lab where you'd like to be a part of, and then to just be able to sort of show your skills, because ultimately it comes down to they want to hire someone that has good skills, that has promising skills. And if you're able to show your skills somehow, that will increase your chances massively. If you don't have publications or whatnot, you can still do it, but you'll have to put in work to be able to show your skills. You have to like get in there somehow. So I would say that's for getting into a PhD in today's climate. And then, yeah, doing a PhD, I don't know, I would say focus, like search for a good topic, search for like a topic where you can really be stellar at, and then focus on that. That is, I think you'll do fine if you do that.
Yeah, in one of your interviews, I think on a podcast, you mentioned find your own niche, and that's for PhD, not just YouTube. Because in that interview, you mentioned that even earlier in your research, it reflects that there was just this GAN hype, and since then, the acceptance for GAN papers has gone down. Now it's also incentivized to like just do research that's in trend, but you also need to think about long term things. I think I'm just an outsider, just reflecting on this.
Yeah, this is like hype topics. They will always go away, right? And you'll still be here if you if you're not super fast. So that was my argument for sort of finding a more maybe low profile but stable like a niche to continually research on. Yeah, because if you choose a hype topic, many other people do, and then the hype is going away, but all these people still want to publish, so it gets even harder because it's so competitive, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you've reviewed a lot of papers, and I would like to think that you are on top of a lot of different areas. What is interesting research to you in machine learning, broadly speaking?
I'd say, well, that's a hard question. I'm generally I'm a very spread out person, to my detriment. So I have an inability to focus and keep out other topics, which means also I'm quite interested in a wide variety of things. I like creative new ideas. I dislike adjusting proofs to like some minor new setting. There's a lot of research being done of like, oh, here is like a new type of model, and here is my, my area. Like I don't know, I do non-observable bandits or something, like bandits with this and this type of distribution, and now every single topic that comes out, I just adjust the proof to my setting, right? Which is, we need that research. It doesn't interest me as much. So whenever I see like really cool new stuff in whatever area, that kind of spikes my interest.
Any tips on just remaining having a good picture of having a good idea of the bigger picture? Because this is also from the AMA, but people are saying that researchers just get confined in a small field and forget the big picture sometimes. Any thoughts on
Yeah.
that?
Well, you have to, like, as a researcher, you really have to, because there's too much research to keep up with. It's not even, I used to read all of archive. Okay. So when I really like, I used to read, every morning I had even a bot that would go to archive to like 5 or 6 of the big lists, like ML, CL, and Vision and stuff like that, and just pull down all the papers. And I would read just all the abstracts, and then I would read the papers that the abstract interested me. That was even before I started making videos. This is not possible anymore. It's not possible to even read all the abstracts every day. So be very, I'd say you have to be very well, that's a hard thing to say, very well versed in your area, in your particular area. Anything that's outside of that, I think most people build up sort of a web of information channels, and that really depends on the people. That can be mixture between Reddit and Twitter and LinkedIn and whatnot. But I think most people rely on sort of a social network of other people that they know have good taste in a particular area. So if you assemble yourself kind of almost like an expert team that you follow, and kind of, okay, these people, they regularly surface good content, and then every now and then you just do some kind of exploration, some kind of random exploration. I think, yeah, it sounds a lot like Q learning or something, but essentially,
Yeah.
we have no we don't have that we have no other chance, because there's just too much research today.
I would, we have a few hundred people watching, and I've never asked you to subscribe to my channel. Please head over to Yannic's channel and subscribe to that, because you know, if a good paper comes out, he's going to tweet about it, or if it's great enough, he's going to make a video. I really wanted to see you on 100K by the time we had this interview. For some reason, that didn't happen. Maybe we'll just get to 150K instantly. Who knows?
We'll see. But yeah, it's been fun so far. It's been a fun journey, even to, what is it now, 69K or so. I'm very
I think
grateful.
It's 96K. You haven't checked your dashboard since like
it's
in a long
96.
Time. No big deal. I'll get to the content questions in just a bit, but I'm also curious. You've researched in general areas, so general deep. By that I mean general deep learning. I'm sorry if I'm mislabeling that, because I'm not a researcher.
That's cool.
How do you approach research problems? So when you're working on ideas, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't say I have the best approach, but I would even say my approach might be somewhat suboptimal. But when I have an idea, I just try to implement it, and just see if it works. So I think what you should do is see if someone else had already implemented it, which would be the proper thing to do. I tend to get excited about ideas and then just straight jump into like the fastest way I can either get a signal, which means like, oh, this could really work, or disprove, like, oh, this is really crap. Yeah, what I would say in that is try to validate every step of an idea. So a lot of people, they and you see that in a lot of papers, they implement an idea and then they like, do like a big network and a hyperparameter search and this and this and this and this, and at the end it's like 2% better. But you don't know why it's better. So, try to really validate the core of your idea. Like if your idea is, I believe that, odd numbered weights are really better, whatever, right? Try to design some kind of an experiment that really validates the core of the idea. And that will make also for a much more powerful paper, because no one's going to say, well, you didn't try ImageNet, right? You can really show like, look, here is like an experiment that really shows that it's my idea that's doing the work and not anything else.
Does that come with practice? As you like go through a lot of research problems, does that framework come up with practice?
I guess. I mean, yeah, I mean, certainly, I think you get better as you do anything. So,
because my approach, I'm slightly better at it because now I'm at Weights and Biases, but would just be creating new notebook, untitled, 230, and go from there. And then I need to recall where I'm at.
Oh yeah, I'm also crap at organizing myself. Like really, I'm like you, except I do like new Git repository, call it like blah, and then have a file that's called blah.py, and yeah.
You also made a video title. These aren't my words, your words, reviewing the trash code I wrote during my PhD, and that was. All of your videos are a fun watch. This allows me to transition into this question. What is good content in machine learning, broadly speaking, according to you?
Oh, if I knew that would be great. I have not figured this out until now, right? I think there are multiple things. So there's a community of people that just like to be informed about what's going on. That's why I'm doing like the ML news and so on. I've tried that out, and that got a good reception from some people. There are other people that really like the technical content. So they really like it that someone sits down and explains them a paper for an hour, which I would have never guessed that, right? Like who watches like an explanation of a technical paper for an entire hour when, the average attention span is less than a TikTok video. So I
Less
have
than
not,
that, yeah.
yeah. And then there are some, and it's really hard to predict which videos are going to be popular and which ones aren't. So, you know, sometimes I think, wow, that video is really going to, you know, hit big because it's important and I did it really well and all of this. And then it's just nothing. And then others, so you never know. I guess all you can do is make, as a content creator, is make content that you enjoy personally, and then, you know, just put it out. Like, and then some of it will be received well and some of it won't. And yeah, that's life.
Does the viewership still surprise you? I know you were just initially also surprised by the number of people interested in watching you read papers. Does it still surprise you?
Yeah, absolutely. Every time I read a comment, like, you know, the comment section on YouTube videos, not only mine but also other creators in this space,
it's an entire world in itself.
It's like you get the best, like you get better comments than most reviews I've gotten for papers, right? Up until like someone just coming and be like, this is, and then some swear word, like, and you're like, well, you know, how can this be all in one stream? But yeah, it's fun.
If you hadn't gotten into YouTube, is this a full-time gig for you now, or like at least a good percentage of your time, would you say?
YouTube is a good percentage of my time off of work. Sometimes a little bit of my time at work, which I can say now because I'm my own employer. But yeah, but I generally enjoy it. So, you know, I don't really
Definitely
think in terms
seems
of
like
time.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you teach during your time at university as well? Because as my research, I went back to your oldest video, and like I sucked that in my first video, and hopefully I've gotten better, but I didn't see any difference for your first video and your video today. Maybe a little in editing. So did you always enjoy teaching? That's my question.
Yeah. I did teach. We have to here, right? If you're hired as a PhD student and if you run on the university's money, the requirement is that you teach every semester. So I taught various courses here that our professor lectures. I taught there, and yeah, I generally enjoyed that. Yeah, the first videos, I also think that I sucked a lot more, but yeah, I'm not sure I've gotten better either.
I didn't see any difference, and as you know, I'm a fan of yours. To the people watching live, we have a few areas where we're live streaming this, so please post your questions on the WonDB forums. I've just shared a link, and I'll post it again. I can't monitor all of these chats while also trying to think, so if you can do that, that'll be great. Um, Coming back to the conversation, Mark, who you also had on ML ST, and he's an incredible video creator as well. He asked, what's your financial independence path to the Yannic life, as he puts it?
The financial independence part. So far, there's none. Well, I think, I think in everyone in this space, in the, let's say, the machine learning space, we're in a really good spot, I feel, in that, I don't think any of us ever have to worry about money because really, because like, okay, if you're into machine learning, you already can program, right? And if you can program, I don't see how in the next 50 years you are going ever to be like having trouble finding a job. It might not be, your dream job. It might not be, like bean bags and free food and all, but you'll find a job for sure that is going to pay your bills and you can live a comfortable life. So yeah, in terms of finance, I've always just I've always just kind of relied on that security that I will always be able to find work if I need to. I will always be able to get some income if I need to, and that I think frees me up. So I don't yet have, like, I don't work towards retirement. I'll happily code until I'm 80, honestly.
That's
If it
great to hear.
needs to be, yeah.
Yeah, if I may share my perspective, like coming from India at that time, there was this negative hype around, oh, machine learning is just for masters or PhD student, you don't need to do that. And I had the exact same thought, hey, I'm just programming, that's a defined path. Like you can become a STE level, I think it's 1, and in 3 or 4 years you become level 2 and you go from there. I just thought to myself, hey, I can always do that, let me try this interesting thing that they don't want me to, because now I want to be the rebel. And luckily I got into the field and it worked out okay for me as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you know, I did have the experience as a university student of not knowing, you know, what's going to go, like if I can sustain myself, right? Like, okay, I got enough money for the next semester, maybe ish, and I work a little bit on the side. So I've had that experience, and I have to say, it's like now that you're in, like I'm in this situation with these skills, that this is an extreme luxury. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. College is always, university, we call it college in India, is always this different balance. I'm not sure how it works in PhD. I understand you have the liberty to work on different projects as well. But coming back to the content area of questions, you usually, from what I've learned, you just record the paper reading in one go. Have you since put a structure around the way you approach video creation, or is it still just one shot and upload it?
Yeah, it's just one shot. I mean, I I read the paper until I generally understand it. So until you know I've read it and I myself have no more open questions. It sometimes it happens that I still have open questions, and then I'll say that in the video, like, okay, here's what I'm not sure about. But in general, yeah, and then I record the video. Sometimes I'm not happy with it, which usually happens in the first 5 minutes or so. Then I'll re-record. But other than that, I just upload after it. I generally think people are too worried about things not being perfect. About and I can understand this if, I don't know, if you write like blog posts or something, you know, it's so easy to edit them that
Yeah.
I can get it, like, this is not perfect yet. I can make this graphic a little bit better. But a 1 hour or let's say 40-minute continuous video of an explanation, you know, me to go in there and try to like redo some parts or something, it's just so much more effort, and I'm lazy. So I just lowered my standards of what I consider good quality. And yeah, I would invite, generally, I know a lot of people who are afraid to put things out because they are scared that there might be a mistake. You know, don't, like, there will be mistakes. So what? Like, someone will comment, say, here is a mistake, and then you say, thanks.
It also makes it feel more natural. We had this conversation as well, and I mean, if someone is paying me a lot, I'll sure edit it, but otherwise, like it's quite natural. And there's a spotlight effect right now. I'm also evaluating myself. Oh, I'm just stuttering right now, and I look like an idiot in front of Yannic. But it's just natural. It's just me being my harshest critic in a way, I think.
Yeah, I feel there is and especially, you know, with the recent rise of podcasts and all, in the last few years, you know, we've seen podcasts being, for some reason, they've existed for 20 years or so, right? but we've seen this explosion of podcasts, and that also shows you a little bit the appeal of the naturalness of, you know, people like listening to something that's non-perfect. I don't say like they'd rather have it be perfect, but
Yeah.
they'd rather have it be non-perfect and natural than, I'd say, like unnaturally perfect.
So how do you define the podcast that you co-host, Machine Learning Street Talk, if you were to define it?
Well, I have, like, honestly, I have the easiest job on that, right? Cause Tim is kind of the I would say that the engine behind that, and I get told, like, be there at that time, read these things beforehand, right? Have an opinion, come on. And I get to have, like, I get to talk to people that I, didn't ever think I would get the chance to talk to on sort of it's still interviewer, but it's kind of an even footing. And yeah, that is awesome. We try to invite people, and we try to have technical conversations. So sometimes it's high level, sometimes it's about what is intelligence and whatnot, but also a lot of times it's rather technical. And I think people enjoy it, and also I, as a participant, I just enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been a dream for me as well, because I can't imagine a world where Yannic would come have a conversation with me for an hour. But I just asked him, hey, would you like to do a podcast? And he said yes. I think it's the same experience for me. But huge shout out to Machine Learning Street Talk. Anyone listening, please go watch that. That is incredible. I think Netflix intro sequences, Tim does an incredible job, and the discussions are a little high level sometimes. I think what got into my chai, because I don't understand those things, but it's just fun to watch and listen.
Oh yeah, I don't understand half of the things that are said there either. So I like so don't worry. Happens to us. Yeah.
That's good to know. You all don't shy away from being critical, and that's quite important, even in the street talk and even in your videos. Is it hard to be a critical voice and have a strong opinion about things, because you're also broadcasting, and sometimes you have faced negative effects also from people in general?
I would say in general it's easy to be critical. Like, not necessarily critical, but it's easy to be cynical. And it's almost a bit of a trap, because cynical content also is very popular. Like just complaining about everything gathers a lot of attention, gathers a lot of momentum. And if you you can get a lot of, I would say, following. You can get a lot of movement by just being, like, cynical about everything, right? About just problematize everything. And I definitely I don't want to fall into that trap. So that is a bit of a, I see. Yeah. So it's difficult, I think, to be critical in a considered way. There are things that I really, let's say, don't like. And then I'm going to say that, I'm going to argue why, right? And sometimes I also argue what could be done better or something like this. But then I also have to be constructive somehow. So on the other hand, I also have to, be like, okay, here's what I like, and so on. So in the end, I just try to say my opinion about things. And so we're not, like, even the street talk, or also me, we're never, I think, critical on purpose. It's always, this is our opinion. I like this, I don't like this. And it's gone well so far. In terms of consequences, it goes away. Like, if you get like a a crap storm on Twitter, it goes away. Just like, remain calm. And after the first one, nothing can hurt you anymore.
Yeah, it's I don't know how this works, but on the internet, the negative comments and just being stormed feels very different. Like, you can have 1,000 people saying nice things about you, and then comes that one comment, this is trash, or they make some comment that just stands out to you so nicely, and now forget sleep for a week.
Yeah, that's, I think we're wired to react much more to like negative comments, and even on non-critical content, right? Like like it's the amount of times I get a comment like, you clearly don't understand anything. You should go back to the basics. Or, but yeah, with time, I think you come to enjoy even those people. It's like, hey, thanks for the comment. YouTube, YouTube views this as one more comment, so my video is gonna get more traffic.
I guess so, but it's going back to your point. I think it's also important. You're not arguing against any person. You're arguing against their work, and I know like people are really passionate about their work. At least in our field, they go to great extents in coming up with these ideas, and sometimes it feels like they're being attacked. So maybe they take offense. But yeah, like we should have more of those open conversations here. Why OpenAI isn't publishing GPT-3? You have quite a fantastic intro in your machine learning news segue, but yeah, in my opinion, those are quite important. We should be shutting those down.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so either. At least I try to keep discussion on topics and not on people. Sometimes it's difficult, right? Because people make things personal. But yeah, I think being critical, as long as you're critical of ideas and of like, things and not people, yeah, I think you're fine.
Yeah. Have you come up with any time management skills over this period of just managing this life of YouTube? I know your framework a little just because I had the chance, thanks to you, to collaborate with you. But any tips on managing time with different areas of life?
Oh no, I'm really bad at time management, for real. Like I can't. I owe a lot of people responses to emails and chats, and and I like this it piles up, and I don't know what to do there. And then you almost get into this paralysis of too many things to do, and then I have to do this and that, and then usually there's some emergency somewhere because someone, like usually me, crashed our cluster. And there is a, yeah, I don't have good time management skills. I'm not a, what should I say? I am not a conscientious person. I am a chaotic person, and I would love to learn more of that. I have tried every single to-do list and note-taking whatnot tool. The best thing is to have someone actively yell at me to do something over and over again, right? But it's hard to find these people because it's annoying when I don't do stuff. But that's worked the best so far. Other than that, I try to keep up with everything.
It's also passion driven. I think it comes through in your videos. I really loved. I'm not gonna butcher the song by singing it, but I really love the Imagine It song also, where you made the I think I forget the title, but where you had the recipes spit out from GPT-3 and you just cooked and you actually ate it also. I don't know how.
Yeah, that was weird. That video, I thought that was a lot of fun. YouTube didn't like it, but I still thought it was fun.
Do you have like an inner preference when you're putting out videos? Oh, this should do well, and sometimes like, are you sad about videos not doing well, or are you happy with where the viewership is at right now?
I mean, what can I say? I'm happy that a single person watches. Like, I would have never expected anyone to actually watch anything, right? There are videos where we put in more work, for example, like the GPT cooking video and so on, and that did approximately the same as like a paper review video, which is cool. As I said, I'm happy even a single person watches any of those things. I would have guessed there would be a difference there, though. Like, just from like, it's completely different type of video, it's different length, different, I guess, audience, and
Yeah.
it's about the same. It's about the same trajectory. So, but what can I say? It's the fun of making the videos is I guess that's still independent of views and whatnot.
It's hard to describe the creator side of it's called the creator economy in some circles. Everyone brands it differently, and you were just pointing these things out. Being a YouTuber, I understand you have to like, some people think about, oh, this is not in the niche that I'm putting videos out in, this isn't going to do well, this is a different length video, is my channel going to get hurt because they try to reverse engineer the YouTube algorithm?
Yes.
And yeah.
Yeah, I don't do that stuff, maybe to the detriment of my growth, but then again, like, what's the point? Like, what's the point in other people, they go and they research, okay, what video should I do next, right? Like, okay, these are video ideas that fit, and they do research on, which is, in a way you can say you're trying to make the best content for your audience, but not really. Like, most people, they just want their numbers to grow, right? And they're trying, as you say, they're trying to find the thing that makes the algorithm sort of push the content the most. To me, it's like, yeah, like I'll make an interesting title and in the thumbnail that you want to click on, but in terms of content, what's the point? Just make the content that you enjoy.
Yeah, having that authenticity, yeah, I got that right, in your videos is really important. We love your videos because you have spicy takes, you have those nice intro sequences, machine learning news comes out on any day as long as it's Monday, and we just enjoy that so much.
Yeah, it's fun to do, so that's all that counts, I guess.
What projects are you taking on next? This is a question coming in from the AMA a lot. Any research projects, or if you could speak about your work at Deep Church?
Yeah, I mean, I'm part of this startup, and we do NLP for legal documents. So that's a thing in itself. It's honestly, it's very little machine learning for me, and a lot of around the machine learning, like building stuff, which I also enjoy. Yeah, so that's my main project right now. Yeah.
Has there been a perspective shift for you as you transitioned out of a PhD and now you're working, from what I understand, on the engineering side of things as well? Was that a different work?
Well, I always knew that sort of the really researchy part of ML isn't the big part in industry. Like, I was always aware of that. So it's not necessarily a surprise to me that I spend most of my day thinking, how am I going to get this stupid TLS certificate into this stupid container, right? But
I'm laughing because I've been there.
Yeah, right. I happen to enjoy both things. I happen to enjoy, fiddling around with ML systems. I happen to enjoy fiddling around with Kubernetes clusters and so on. Yeah, so I'm not sad. It's a bit different, but still cool.
That's great to hear. For the audience watching, I'll dive into the AMA right in a second, but I have a rapid fire for Yannic. It's rapid fire. People usually answer in one word or one sentence. You can take your time with the questions. The first one is, do you have a favorite pair of the aviators you wear out of the four that you keep featuring?
Yes, this one is polarized. So when I do this, I don't see anything.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that happens. Is a merch line coming out anytime soon? I want to buy those.
Well, I've researched into it, but not launched anything yet.
Okay, if you do, you have one customer at least in India already.
Great.
Any favorite paper that you've read recently?
Whew. Well, it's hard to decide. I can't really tell.
Okay. Favorite video that you've created? By that I mean the process of creation that you enjoyed the most for any video.
The first meme review was, I enjoyed that very much. Like, just it was different, yeah.
Please bring Antonio more on your channel. He looks like an incredible guy.
Yeah, he's fun.
Best advice you would have for someone just starting their machine learning journey?
Yeah, I'd say try to look at more of the overarching themes rather than the current hypes. Like, it's easy to get lost in in ultimately not really important details.
Okay. I'm hoping this might be hard for you. For some heroes, it is. Your favorite game of all time?
My favorite game?
Yes.
Or Minecraft, obviously.
For people that don't know, Yannic made a neural network literally in the game with no mods, and one that does backprop just using. I don't play Minecraft, but from what I understood, you can add different elements there, and the model worked somehow.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's dive into the community. Amy, I'm going to share my screen and we can pick any questions that you like.
Well, we'll pick questions that you like, obviously.
Sure, if you say so. Let's answer Ghosh Ritubrata's question. How do you get in touch with different labs to improve your chances of getting into a PhD, like you said? Any tips?
No, I've never had to do that, right? I've had the fortune of so I did my master thesis in the lab where I became a PhD student. So naturally I got to know people. So I've never had to like cold approach anyone. I don't know, conferences, once they happen again, or something else. I don't know, honestly. Like, I'll have to think about this. It's a good question, yeah.
I was surprised when I saw your, it was a review of sorts on Neurips and 2019 when you went to Vancouver and the one before that as well. I was just surprised, like the amount of people there. I just assumed like researchers are a small niche of the field.
You're surprised at the amount of people at the conferences?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, me too. Like, these things are giant, like ginormous masses of people. Though a lot of them also come from industry. Like, they get sent there for I don't know what reason. Like, that's just to pick up on trends or hiring or whatnot. But yeah, it's a lot of people.
I'll skip the next one. Do you think AI winter is imminent?
I don't know. Like, okay, so I would say compared to the last few AI summer winter cycle, this summer, if you want to call it like this, has already given a lot of, may I say, like products, like actual tangible things. Google Translate, for example, is really good. A lot of these vision-based systems, they're really good. We have new codecs and all of that are learned for there's a lot of stuff that actually works. So it's hard to see how that's going to go away. However, in terms of research, this is always a gamble, right? If no one comes up in the next few years with an actual breakthrough new thing, whatever, it's definitely conceivable that interest is just going to shift somewhere else again.
I was trying to think of this, and we look at people who made it in research. When you're going into research, I was just trying to think about it. PhD programs are at least 4 years, at least. You have no idea if that field is going to be there by the time you come out of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think 4 years is a safe time. It might be a bit smaller or larger, but it's, if you go into machine learning today, it's safe to say that the academic field is still going to be around. Whether or not industry will be on like a giant hiring spree as they, are or were in the last few years, that I can't tell you. Right.
Yeah. Coming back to the questions, do you think the industry treats bias and fairness in a proper manner? Any 2 cents regarding these topics?
Well, there's a lot of, I guess, things to say about this. Do I think industry treats it in a proper manner? Yes and no. There are industry participants that do actually, worry about, are our models, fair? Do they work do they work equally well to all the people we serve, or at least are we properly transparent about how they work? Do they have negative consequences? All of that, I think that's just proper product management on the industry side. If you release a product, be that a machine learning product or any other product, you want the product to, work as advertised and be transparent about what it does and what it doesn't do and where its weaknesses. Like, even if the weakness is that it's unfair, I'd still rather you just say it, like, look, here's our product. These are its weaknesses. For other industry participants, it's more like, it's more like a label that you stamp on your things, in that you may run a few algorithms, a few checks. You may even hire like a person that kind of makes a statement that you care about this, but ultimately it's also something like a hype topic a little bit at the moment. And a lot of research is this as well. So at least I see a lot of research simply reframed. Oh, sorry.
No worries.
That's my alarm. So, by the way, time management. Okay, I have this app now. I have this app that has an alarm 5 minutes before every single entry in my calendar. Right.
Okay.
And since this one is like 2 1-hour slots, this is the alarm for the second. But this is how bad I am at time management. This alarm, it goes off. Otherwise, I would forget every single. I've forgotten so many meetings because they were in my calendar. I was just focused on something, and I'm like, whoops. So this is an integral part of my time management. It's automatic. Whenever there's a calendar entry, it sets an alarm. Really, really useful. So sorry. Yeah. So I've seen a lot of researchers simply reframe their topic in terms of like fairness and bias research. Like if your fairness algorithm can just be reframed, like is just a constrained optimization algorithm, then it would have been called constrained optimization 5 years ago. And now it's the same research. It's just fairness, because instead of general constraints, we now have whatever subpopulation or some attribute, but ultimately it's the same things. And this is so much of this sort of fairness and bias research is simply reframed research because the topic is popular right now. So that's the first, not to say that it's not important, right? But this is a little bit of a hype that just makes it kind of ups your chances of being accepted somewhere. It ups your PR a bit. So that's yeah. I'm not saying there aren't legitimate, things to do to research in the fairness and bias space. It's just sometimes difficult to disentangle a little bit.
Like we were just saying, that's why it's important to have these strong opinions. Like, I would have never thought that people just do it because they want to get into a certain through a certain metric, and they would just pick that field because it's trending right now. But also, like you said, like companies don't want to put out bad products. Like the last thing they would want is to have bad PR, and just like every article being written in gray and black and white about how things don't work.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, there are many things at play here. Ultimately, probably some good is going to come out of it, and some noise.
one last question, unless I see any other comment. What do you think of the recent ICCV paper plagiarism incident? I'm not aware of this, by the way.
Yeah, so for maybe other people aren't aware, there has been a rather high profile case of alleged plagiarism, where, you know, there was a paper published, and now I think ICCV is not going to publish it. They say it, please don't refer it. They explicitly said, please don't refer to the paper as the ICCV 2021 paper. So I dubbed it, according, like Prince, I dubbed it the paper formerly known as the ICCV 2021 paper. So the paper formerly known as the ICCV 2021 paper was really, really, really similar to a paper published at ICML. And yeah, this was a big thing. And then I think the second author sort of distanced themselves from the first author, and then the advisor distanced themselves. And then the first author said they've not done a proper literature research, but then later revised their opinion to, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I don't know, like these, there are different levels of, let's say, academic plagiarism or whatnot, right? This is sort of the highest level where it's really a copy of something. So someone actually goes and copies the paper, takes the code, runs the code with maybe different hyperparameters, right? Redoes the diagrams and the plots in a bit of a different style, but it's really looks like a straight up copy. And that's a thing that you can still catch, quote unquote. There's an entire mountain under that of people going, well, but this is really similar to what I did, right? And, well, but you just took my idea and you changed the loss function, and, you didn't cite me, right? I've reviewed papers of people where 90% of their paper is essentially their previous paper, but they only like minorly cite it such that it looks like the entire paper is novel work. Like, there is so much of this, and the ones that we really catch, quote unquote, is just the ones that are so not careful that it's almost impossible to oversee. So, going beyond this particular incident, which is, I think this happened, this person, they got their ass kicked, I guess. Their reputation is done, but there's an entire mountain of a problem beyond that will not be able to address properly. I don't see a clear solution there, right? Like, you can never tell. Did they really come up with this themselves? It's the same idea as this other thing. It's kind of an obvious idea, but have they overheard somehow? Were they the reviewers of this paper and then rejected it and then did it them? Like, yeah, you'll never know.
It's again, speaking as an outsider, it's also incentivized to publish papers. So I don't know how people do it, but it's, at least for me, it's hard to come up with ideas. How do you come up with an interesting idea that makes it to a top conference? Because from what I understand, that's how the incentives are set up. If you have enough papers in top publications, you get a good rank in academia.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff. That's why I didn't jump on this story immediately, like going full scale against this first author. You never know what the incentives are behind it. You never know what the stories are behind some of that. Now, as the story developed, it became a bit more clear, but like, you don't know, and livelihoods are destroyed sometimes. If you imagine you're a PhD student, your advisor is about to throw you out because you're not doing good work, and then they say, well, if you don't have an idea that works until next week. I'm going to throw you out, but you have a sick family member, and you rely on and then you just copy something from someone, and you're like, look, it works, right? Please keep me on. You never plan to continue that. It's just for that. But then the professor's like, oh, this works. Here, work together with this. We're going to publish this. And then you're like, you've created your own mess, and how you're going to get out of that. Look, I try to not assume too much of what's behind any particular story or anything like this. So yeah, the incentives, as you say, are massively in, we need to publish more. We need to, as I said, to apply for a PhD, if you just apply out of the gate without knowing someone, if you don't have a publication, it can be a workshop publication or something like this, but if you don't have a publication, you are like not in the top percentiles of the applicants. That is just, the fact.
Again, like I'm always surprised. I assume like academia is this relaxed area where it's not so competitive, and industry is this crazy area where people keep throwing money, and like there's always this insanity going on. And I'm just surprised every time I hear more about this.
Yeah. No, I mean, it used to already be competitive, right? Professor spots are limited, right? There can only be this many professors because research funding, there's this much, right? And most countries aren't keen on throwing endless money at research. They throw some, but not endless. So professor spots are very limited. People already, once that go academic, they already fully accept that they'll maybe have to move to, I don't know, wherever in the world if a spot opens up for 10 years somewhere, right? This is already completely acceptable in the academic arena, I would say. This like, well, there's a professorship, however it's in Peru, right? And you're in the Netherlands or something, like, well, there I go. And this has, and now you add to that the fact that now also companies are hiring with giant salaries for these spots. So there's an even more incentive of doing well in this world of academia. Yeah. So yeah, also, it's very competitive.
By the time you become a professor, from what I understand, you're quite in your middle life. Like I'm 24, I can move to any place that money brings me. If I'm getting like $1 million, of course I won't, but I just fly out the next day. And it's harder. I assume as you get older in life, you have your family, and it's always interesting to hear about these side of things.
Yeah. I mean, I guess once you are a professor, right, you'll also kind of stay there probably for life. Not many professors, I guess they move sometimes, but usually they stay. But yeah, until that, academia is a harsh field to make a career in.
For sure. I think we'll take this last question. I'd rephrase it as top researchers or and top folks in AI. Let's just take it like so.
Other than the top people to follow on Twitter, I have no idea. I don't even know what I follow. Go look at who I follow, and that's your answer. As I said, I think it's better if everyone goes for themselves and assembles their kind of network. That way we stay kind of diverse in our information flow. I wouldn't want everyone to have the same information diet as I have, because not on like we'll kind of develop this tunnel vision, and if people just follow their own interests, I feel I get enough exposure to other things that with time, interesting things, even if they don't come from large labs or big names, surface nonetheless. And this is, I think, the coolest about this process of, well, what can I say, about this social network based information flow that we currently have in the field, in that there are many times where some no-name has done something cool and that surfaces. Not even researchers. Sometimes, random people on GitHub do something cool and that surfaces just because on the merits of kind of how cool it is. Of course, you always have an advantage if you have a big name, but I don't necessarily see how the peer review conference system is solving the same problem, because there you have like a giant pile of papers that are rejected and then a smaller but still huge pile of papers that just get accept, right? And they just get accept. And then there's a list like, here's the proceedings. Now have fun, discovering the actual good works in that. I don't know.
I've never attended a conference, but last year, since it was still expensive for me, $100 for, I think, ICML. I tried to attend it and I just I lost my mind in the first 1 hour because there were so many papers. Maybe I'm just too slow with reading papers, but I just couldn't understand anything at all.
Yeah, I think if you're at the conference and wanna, I don't think conferences I don't think the main idea behind conferences is to actually learn about the papers that are presented, because often they're like half a year old at least, right? It's more like a pretext for the people to come together and discuss about new things, or the workshops usually have current research. And I think I think conferences are more of like an exploration game. You go there in order to get exposed to sort of new fields, and then you follow up after the conference of the things that you just picked up, and you're like, oh wait, this sounds cool, I've never heard of this, right? I saw some talk about this vague topic, and then after the conference you go and follow up. I don't think the idea is that at the conference you're like, wow, there are all these papers. Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just new to this world. But going back to your point, I think that's this incredibly beautiful thing about our community, where some of us at least take care to showcase underrated things. I remember in Fast Year, Jeremy Howard showcased this paper by Leslie Smith, who he at that time said no one knows of this researcher, but he had put out such an interesting paper. And every now and then we see on Twitter someone who's just put out their first blog post. It's just being reshared and you go to read it. It's just such an incredible read, and we keep discovering new people every day.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. I don't think we have any questions from the community. So I'll leave this last section in case you have any questions for me. I learned this from a podcast where the host lets the guest ask any questions. I don't think you would have any, but any questions you might have for me.
Well, congratulations to your new job at Weights and Biases. This is really, it's cool. So, that'd be my question. How did that come about?
I was in a way trying to find a new challenge, and I like doing stuff for the community. They have an incredible community, so they're paying me to do stuff which I really love. Like I'm doing this interview and I can do it during the work hours.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah. I as they are sponsoring ML News, I of course have only good things to say about Weights and Biases. Excellent things.
I look forward to more of your videos. Awesome. I'll quickly share my screen and point everyone to Yannic's channel. Please make sure you go check out his videos. Incredible stuff to learn from there. I'm already subscribed, so I can't click subscribe again, but make sure you subscribe. Let's get him to 100K. I really wanted to celebrate that today, but we can't. Yannic is also on Twitter, and he's also on the Machine Learning Street Talk podcast. It's a podcast, but I would recommend watching it. Tim does an incredible job, and you don't want to just listen to it. Watch it if you can. Any other platforms that I missed?
No. I'm not good at other platforms. I suck at this marketing game. Other people are really good at it. I suck at it. Yeah.
I'll do it for you. No worries. Please follow Yannic on Twitter and on YouTube. Yannic, thanks for doing everything you do for the community. We enjoy your videos. Please keep them coming. And Thanks for your time today.
Thanks to you. Same to you. We enjoy we enjoy chai time data science, and yeah, thanks for having me.
I just spam everywhere with tea emojis. That's all I do. Awesome. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll end the live stream.